Okay, class, here is the next video for Chapter 8. So we're skipping Chapter 7 and going on to Chapter 8. So it's called 8.1, Converting Area Units. We're still doing area. And scaling. Okay, converting area units and scaling. We will not do the scaling part. We'll just do converting area units. We'll focus on that for this section. So part number 1 of this handout, so I'm going off of the handout, asks, what does 1 square foot mean? Draw a picture of 1 square foot. Label the size. So 1 square foot means that I'm taking the unit length of a foot. So this distance is a foot right here. And I'm going to square it, which means I'm going to make a square out of it, where one distance is a foot, and then the other distance is also a foot. Okay, and then I complete the square like this. That is going to be a representation of 1 square foot. So the area inside is 1 foot squared. And so we have the 1 square foot there. So that's what that means. And we drew a picture of it. We labeled the sides. Each of these distances here from 1 foot can be divided into 12 parts. So we have 1, that's 6 and 6, and 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Okay, divide this into thirds, and at least these thirds into halves. Okay, and that's 1 square foot there. So we're going to extend these across here. And so because with these square feet we have dimensions here. Okay, and then this 1 foot can be also divided into 12 parts. Okay, and we can also extend them across here. Okay, you see that? What one square foot? Back this up. I missed that one. 1 square foot. Okay. I'm prepping for number 2 because we're going to convert area units. Okay, so that's what we're doing right here, converting. And so I can draw 1 foot equal to 12 inches. This also could be equal to 12 inches. Okay, and since I divided the lengths into 12 inches, this length and that length, and 12 inches, I brought them down and across. Okay, so each of the feet, like in number 2a, 1 foot squared, is equal to 1 foot quantity squared, which is equal to 1 foot times 1 foot. Okay. What I did in the just now with the green coloring is divide each of those feet into 12 inches. So I'm going to do that with numbers now. So each of these feet become 12 inches. Okay. And I want to say, okay, these are now 12 inches by 12 inches, and it's 144 inches squared when I multiply it out. Okay. Well, the key is that this is the conversion. When we convert area units, we use conversion factors. The factor is, the relationship is that 1 square foot is equal to 144 square inches. Okay. So that's the key. Well, where did those 144? You might be thinking, what about, I thought 12 inches were in a foot. Well, that's true, but when you're talking about square units, we have square, back up here, we have square units and smaller units, and so we have to multiply them by themselves. Numerically, you do 12 times 12 gives you 144. Inches times inches gives you inches squared. Geometrically or pictorially, we are going to find how many inches squared are in here by dividing up the length here to 12 parts and the length here into 12 parts. Continuing them down, continuing them across, we have noticed that there are now 144 little squares in our figure. Okay, so there's lots of them down here. And if you fill out the figure, you can count each one. Okay, but we won't have time to do that. Okay. So if 1 foot squared, it contains 144 square inches inside it. Okay, they cover the same area, so that means that they are equal. Okay, so 1 square foot, 144 inches squared. Okay, so as we convert, we have just kind of a string of equations here for part 2. So let's go on to part B. We're going to think about 1 meter now. It's going to be 1 meter squared, same as 1 meter quantity squared, which is equal to 1 meter times 1 meter, 1 meter by 1 meter. And we are going to convert this to centimeters. So there are 100 there are 100 centimeters in a meter. And so I convert those to centimeters. And when I multiply the numbers together, the 100 and the 100 here, I get 10,000. And when I multiply the units together, the centimeters and centimeters, I get centimeters squared. Okay. So my conversion is 1 meter squared is equal to 10,000 centimeters squared. All right, continue on with parts C and D. C is 1 yard squared. Okay, we're going to convert those over to feet squared. So this part right here doesn't have as many guiding lines here. So we're just going to kind of do the same thing. 1 yard squared is equal to 1 yard quantity squared, which is equal to 1 yard times 1 yard. Okay, and those are equal to, we're going to go to feet, so that's 3 feet in 1 yard. Okay, when I multiply those together, I get 9 feet squared. We can actually draw a picture. This one's not too bad either. So here's my square unit for yards. So this is 1 yard this way. Talking about this distance from here to here. This is also a yard this way. This distance from here to here. Okay. Now I'm going to divide each of those yard distances into feet. Okay, so 3 parts. Okay, 3 parts. And I'm going to carry these 3 parts throughout this, down to the square, over to the right through the square. And notice that I have 1 yard squared here, which is the same as 9 feet squared. Okay, because you can see all 9 of them right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so this right here is a conversion factor. So 1 yard squared is equal to 9 feet squared. Going on to part D, we're using kilometers. 1 kilometer squared. We go down to meter squared. Okay, 1 kilometer quantity squared. 1 kilometer times 1 kilometer. And when we do that, we're going to get each kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters, right? So we're 1,000 by 1,000 meters. We multiply the thousands together, get 1,000,000. The meters and meters make meters squared. Okay. So with metric units and other units too, the units get really big. 1 kilometer squared is equal to 1,000,000 meters squared. Okay, we're going to go ahead and skip number 3. Maybe we'll just mention it briefly actually here. So you want to draw a rectangle whose area is 8 centimeters squared. Okay, so what you can do is you draw your rectangle here. Okay, so there's 8 square centimeters. So this distance right here is 1 centimeter. This distance right here, 1 centimeter. And we have 8 of them. We're going to convert that to millimeters squared. So each centimeter, that's 4 centimeters here, 2 centimeters here in lengths. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 there and 2 here. 1, 2. So we can convert each of them by numbers. So 4 centimeters is equal to 40 millimeters. 2 centimeters is equal to 20 millimeters. Okay, and then finding the area, length times width. So we have 40 millimeters times 20 millimeters. So we get 800 millimeters squared. Number 4, a little bit longer. This is the actual conversions. Okay, so we want to convert 2.45 meters squared to centimeters squared. Okay. So there's 4 ways to do this. Way number 2, way number 4 are similar, but way number 1 and way number 3 are also similar, and I prefer way number 3. But way number 1 is like this, where we start with 2.45 meters squared, and I'm going to separate off my meters squared, and I'm going to say that that is the same as 2.45 times 1 meter squared. And then I'm going to split that meter up to 1 meter times 1 meter. So when I break it down into the length units, I can convert those without even knowing how many square centimeters are in there. So that's pretty handy, right? 1 meter is 100 centimeters. 1 meter is 100 centimeters. Then I combine them back together to get to 10,000 centimeters squared. And then I use like the commutative property to switch the order. And we have this new order now, and that's going to equal, moving the decimal place to the right 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 2, 4, 5, 0, 0, 24,500 centimeters squared. Okay, so that's way number 1. Way number 2 is that we skip kind of the middle part where we convert. And we just say, okay, 2.45 meters squared is equal to 2.45 times 1 square meter. That 1 square meter we happen to know, or memorize, that is 10,000 centimeters squared. And so we get 24500 centimeters squared again. Okay. With our way number 3, this is my preferred way because I like conversion factors. We have 2.45 meters squared over 1. Our goal is to get to centimeters squared, but we're going to do it with just one of the conversion factors we already know. We know that for every meter, there is 100 centimeters. And I'm setting up the conversion factor this way so that I can see that the meters will cancel. Well, I have 1 meters there, but 2 sets are there. And so I need to add on another conversion factor of 1 meter for every 100 centimeters. So I cancel these 2 meters on the denominators with these 2 meters in the numerator. Okay, and what we have next is we're going to multiply them together. Multiply the numerators in the denominators. Okay, pulling out the centimeter squareds. And so our answer is going to be 2,500 centimeters squared. Okay, so there's another way of doing that one. I'd like to convert conversion factors. Way number 4 is to use conversion factors, but use the one that's just one conversion factor. 2.45 meters squared over 1 times 1 meter squared over 10,000 centimeters squared, if you actually happen to memorize that. You can do that, so the meter squares will cancel, and we get 2.45 times 10,000 and centimeters squared, which is equal to 24500 centimeters squared. And that's all for this video. Okay, class, here's the last video. In this video, we're going to show a bunch of examples of converting with area units. So, A, we have 432 feet squared. We need to change that to yards squared. And I'm going to use way 3. So it's easier for me because I only need to memorize one conversion unit for each length. 432 feet squared over 1 times, well, how I need to get this the yards squared, so I needed my feet to cancel. So at diagonals, I'm going to put the feet, so we have 3 feet for 1 yard. And then I'm going to multiply that by another 3 feet for 1 yard, because I need this to cancel with that. Okay. I multiply the numerators and denominators, and I get 432 over 9 yards squared. When I divide 432 by 9, I get 48 yards squared. B. Oops. In part B, I'm going to convert 54 yards squared to feet squared. Okay, so I start with my 54 yards squared, put over 1, multiply by, I need my yards to cancel, so my 1 yard will go down here and 3 feet up here. But I need 2 sets of yards, so put another conversion factor where the yards will cancel at diagonals, and I have 54 times 3 times 3 over 1 feet squared. And when I multiply those out, I have 486 feet squared. Okay, so C, we have 340 centimeters squared, and that's going to convert that to meters squared. Okay, so 340 centimeters squared, divide by 1, multiply by, I need my centimeters to cancel, oops. So there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Okay, I'm going to multiply by another conversion factor, 100 centimeters for 1 meter, because I need that and that to cancel with that. And when I have 340 as my multiplying the numerators and meters squared, divide by 10,000, and because that's what 100 times 100 is. Now, because I'm going to divide by 10,000, it's easy with metric, so I use my decimal here. I'm going to move it to the left 4 places because there's 4 zeros in 10,000. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Put it here and a placeholder there. So in the end, I'm going to have 0.034 meters squared. D. D is 4.2 feet squared equals blank inches squared. Okay. So 4.2 feet squared over 1. I need to convert to inches, and there's 12 inches in 1 foot, so there's 1 foot on the bottom there for this 12 inches on the top here. And I need 2 feet squares, 2 feet squared. So I'm going to multiply by another conversion factor of 12 inches and 1 foot. Those two cancel with that one. And I'm left with the numerator 4.2 times 12 times 12 over 1. And then my inches squared is what I have. Oops. Left over here, inches squared from this inches and this inches. 4.2 times 12 times 12 is going to give me 604.8 inches squared. Okay, and then the last problem is problem E, 8,456 meters squared is equal to some number of kilometers squared. All right, and we're going to take our 8,456 meters squared, put over 1, multiply by some sort of meters on the bottom. Now, know that there's 1,000 meters of 1 kilometer, and that's why I'm putting 1,000 meters on the bottom, so I can cancel meters. But I only have 1 set of meters here. I need another set here to cancel with this, and that. Okay, Then now I have 8, 4, 5, 6 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a million, and then we have kilometers squared as our units. When I do that, I'm going to go ahead and move my decimals over 6 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 2 zeros as placeholders, so my answer is 0.008456 kilometers squared. Number 5 has a little note about hectares. So farmers use acres measuring their farmland with the U.S. customary system. The corresponding unit and metric system is called the hectare. And so when the ancient French scientists were finding area, they thought, well, maybe a kilometer squared would be good. So what they did was they took a kilometer squared and they found out that it was 1,000,000 meters squared, which is very big. It's too big to be useful. So they went down and didn't square their kilometers, but they squared their hectometers. Okay. So they didn't want to do a kilometer squared. Too big. So the next unit down by a factor of 10, so we have 1 kilometer, and then if you divide that by 10, you get 1 hectometer. And that's kind of what they went with there. So a hectare is 1 hectometer squared. Okay. You can also think of it as 100 meters for every hectometer. Square that. So instead of having 1,000,000 meters squared, we have 10,000 meters squared. And that's approximately 2 football fields put together. Okay, so there's a little bit of trivia on that one. Hope you guys enjoyed the videos, and good luck with the homework. It should be good now to do it.